so me and my little brother, he was running an engine, I was running an engine, and we were asked to go up to a certain division, and it took us forever to get there, like 2.5, 3 hours. I mean, it was like all the way on the other side of the fire. And flat tire on the way up there, really crappy road. We get up there, and it's this parking area. And there's oak brush. And I don't know if you've ever been to Colorado. The oak brush is like, it's insane. And the day before, we were on a different division, and the FMO had come out on the line, and he'd reached over, and he'd asked any of us, have you touched the fuel? Have you seen it? Because it's all green. It's in June. It's the beginning of June. We're like, okay, green up, woo, you know. And we couldn't figure out why the fire was just really ripping and roaring. Nobody thought to grab hold of the touch the fuel. So he sat the whole division down in the staging area, and he said, no, you guys need to listen. This stuff greened out 2 weeks ago. And we're like, yeah, it looks like it. And he reached over and he grabbed it, and it crumbled. I mean, crumbled in his hand. And we were shocked. That's how dry it was. And so we get up the next day on this sectional line, and it's us, me and my brother, and then there's like I think there was another engine or two with us. All of us had problems getting up there. It was a pretty nasty road getting up there, real bad egress and ingress, one way in, one way out. And the hot shots had gone up the hill, and they were behind where we would be parking, and the fire had burned through parts of where we were, but only the underbrush. The whole canopy of the oak brush was preheated, and it was still smoldering. And so we're at the top of a saddle, like a bowl, so below us. So fire's behind us, fire's on this side of us, the fire's below us, and there is only enough room, I mean there's barely enough room for our Type 6s to turn around and park without actually having our hoods touch the fuel. I mean, it's such a small area. And to get out of here is going to take us forever. So I remember we asked, where's our safety zone? And the gentleman who had us up there, he goes around, it's walking, not driving, walking around to the other side of the saddle, on the other side. And it was covered in, we're like, there's no meadow over there. It's all covered in oak brush, higher than our heads. That's, okay, is there something you see that we're not seeing, you know? The fire is in the bottom of the saddle, it totally ready to go. A little bit of wind and it would be good. And I mean, it was only like my second year as an engine boss. It was my third year as a firefighter, only my second year as an engine boss. So I recognized there was something bad going on, but I'd never actually had to turn down an assignment before. My brother, on the other hand, had been fighting fire for 5-6 years at that point. And so he looked at the guy and he was like, is that our only escape? I mean, to walk, to leave, abandon our trucks here where they're going to get burned up, because I mean, there's on all sides of us here, and run, really, hopefully, over there as the fire's coming up toward us, and hope the fire doesn't cut us off. And the gentleman said, yes, that's where you need to go. And my brother and I, we can't accept this assignment. This is way too dangerous. And the gentleman told us that, well, the contractors were in here yesterday didn't have a problem with it. And I remember my brother looked at him and said, well, then you can get them back in here because we're not doing this. This is way too, I mean, oak brush in Colorado, I mean, it burns like gasoline. Like somebody poured gasoline on the fuel. It's very large. It's a fine fuel like chaparral. I mean, it's nasty stuff. There was no crawling through it. There was no hacking through it. There was, without chainsaws, I mean, there's nothing to, you know, it would take us forever just to clear a safety zone, you know. And so, needless to say, he was perturbed with us because they couldn't use us at that point. I mean, the amount of work we would have to do to make the area safe for us to be able to work in during the day, that day, that we felt was, and that they recognized, would take too long. I mean, we wouldn't get anything done. Wouldn't be able to accomplish our goal, which really, I don't even know what the goal was, other than just to have us parked there. And so we obviously had to leave, and they sent us back to camp. And this is where it's important to be nice to everybody in camp, because you never know who's going to be your friend. So needless to say, not surprisingly, our names were on the demob list the very next day. And what was cool, though, is that my brother and me were friendly. My brother really knew more about it than I did, but he had made friends with the person who checked us in, and the people, he knew all their names and stuff, and I learned that really well from him. He says, learn their names, it's really important. And so he went in and he says, listen, we have, X amount of days left, and we came all the way from Oregon. And I know, I'm sorry that it hasn't worked out on this fire, but is there any other assignment? And when they found out what had happened, why we were being demobilized, they were like, you just sit tight, we'll find you another assignment. And that's how we ended up on Missionary Ridge. So that ended up working great. And that's where we ended up. And it was super fun.